Yeah, first I'm giving honor to God for the opportunity to have these 13 games. No easy games, all tough games from Ohio to La Tech, Arkansas State, obviously, San Francisco, UNLV, and then all of the big boys. Run to be 10-3 after this schedule. Every game was grueling. Every game was fatiguing. Every game was hard. And just kudos to the players for fighting hard every game to be 10-3. Secondly, the fans. What an unbelievable crowd to come out and support us after we pretty much laid an egg last week. We were fatigued, came off the road from Virginia, hit the ground running, doing Christmas events and things like that, and it probably had 2 hours of practice to get prepared for Mississippi State, who was an unbelievable team, and they beat us up really badly. And from that buzzer blowing, I knew when we got back from Christmas it was going to be hard practices, and we went back to old school practices every day this week, and it paid off.
Coach, it was evident from the first 3 minutes of the game, the emotion impact of the players was different than the last game. Did you say to them to it, or did they take it upon themselves to be more emotionally involved in the game?
No, I was as hard on them that I've ever been all year, all week. And it was a no-nonsense locker room and court all week. I just wasn't going to have it again because, this city supports us. And I felt like the crowd that we had, that we should have fought harder. Even if we missed shots, we should have just fought. And we didn't fight. And that is never going to sit well with me, being from the city when it's about grit and grind. And all week it was grit and grind practices. So, and then they understood where we made the mistakes. We showed them film and showed them where Ole Miss was going to come in and try to beat us up as well. And we answered the bell.
Penny, got it right here.
Yep.
Obviously, win or lose today, I think you probably would have said the non-conference slate was successful. But after the way last Saturday went and going into conference play, if you would have lost, I guess just how important was it to get some of that momentum back and knowing this was maybe one of the last real impact wins you could have on the resume?
Yeah, obviously with the last 4 games being at Clemson, at Virginia, and then come home against Mississippi State and Ole Miss, you want to win all 4, but if you do 3-1, man, you're doing great. So today's game was, in my mind, was a must-win. That's why the practices were much harder, and we knew that we had to. That was our last and final chance at a quad 1 because that's the respect that Ole Miss gets right now. And they're going to continue to play well. They're going to beat people at home, and that conference right now is the #1 conference in the country. Looking at those teams over there, so they're going to beat people, this year. So understanding what it was, you couldn't go in with the momentum of a bad loss last week with we didn't fight, and there are no moral victories. If you come out today and don't win, then you got to go on the road to FAU, which is going to be another T-shirt game where they're going to be in their pack and going crazy. We just couldn't afford it.
Coach, still in the back. Obviously, Musa Cisse, having played for your program, then the journey he's taken and playing at Ole Miss, and then playing again against his old team today, how much did his impact matter to the outcome of this one?
That was a huge impact, but I was in his ear all week, and it didn't take much because he was already motivated to play against his old team. But if Musa plays like that every single night, getting those rebounds, rim protecting, and scoring around the rim, it's going to be a great end of the year this year.
Coach, great win today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And Kobe Rogers, this guy has been in a slump, but today he stepped up big time. What was it like to see your senior step up today, man?
No, it was great, man, because Kobe works harder than anyone on his shot, and he's his toughest critic. And for him to be 1 for 19 the last couple games with a bad loss to Mississippi State, he really was in a bad space mentally. We had a good talk this week a couple times, and for him to come out and stay aggressive because he's one of the best scorers in the country, best shooters in the country, and not lose his confidence and do what he did today against Ole Miss is great. That's his hard work paying off.
Can you kind of explain when you said that you guys had an old school practice? Like, what exactly did you guys do differently?
We started off with 17s the first day, Christmas night. 17s like sprints. And we ran and ran and ran like the old school coaches used to do us, where it could have been punishment running because I just wasn't going to have anything other than us being in shape, ready to run. And it was all about hitting and physicality this week. It was nothing easy. If it was something easy, guys got kicked off the floor, and we started over. And yeah, that was old school. It was some choice words all week for a lot of guys getting ready for this game.
When could you tell or was there a moment you could tell, whether it was in the days leading up to today or at some point today, that Colby had it?
Well, I know Kobe always has it because he did it to us last year. I don't think he missed 4 shots against us in 3 games. He just shot the ball really well, and he was in rhythm. So I know that guy is there. He has to understand that if he misses a shot, we don't care. Just play defense, rebound, box out, do all the little things to help us win. But I knew he was going to come back. That's just who he is. He's a scorer. He knows that. And when the first one went in, I knew that he was on his way.
Dante Harris makes his debut for you today. What'd you see out of him, and what do you expect his role to be?
Yeah, for him not to have played in a long time, he came in on-ball defense was great. You know, he came in the game and got a shot clock violation because they tried to drive him, Murray, and he guarded him one-on-one and didn't need any help, and we got a shot clock violation. That's what's to come from him. He's one of the best defensive guards in the country. He pushes pace, and he's a leader. He's already talking in the practices, and he only had a couple practices.
Penny, would you say this is not just your most successful, but maybe most satisfying non-conference schedule, given everything that went into it?
Yeah, I would say, because last year being 11-2 with that schedule was really tough. Going to VCU, going to Texas A&M, and then coming back playing Clemson, Virginia, and Vandy. But to go to Hawaii and play in the toughest field they've ever had, to play at Virginia, at Clemson, man, to have Missouri the first game. Yeah, this is the most satisfying for sure because of how we had to do it without playing a lot of guys. I think that's what made it more difficult. We had to play the main guys 35, 36-plus minutes, and that's really tough. I've never had to do that before.
Hi, Penny, over here. Chris Beard was in here just a few minutes ago, and he noted multiple times how you guys were far more emotionally invested in this game than they were. Do you think that was true, and if so, why do you think that was?
That was absolutely true. It was true because we had a chip on our shoulders for how we played last week. Mississippi State is a damn good team, and to go out there and not fight, they embarrassed us. So we had to go through Christmas and enjoy Christmas with family, but we knew we had to get back to business, and we knew that we couldn't let Ole Miss come in here and do the same thing that Mississippi State had done.
This would have been the first time, had you lost this one, this would have been the first 3-game losing streak at home the program had since Tubby's last season here. What did it mean, do you think, to be able to avoid that today, especially beating a Mid-South rival SEC opponent in the process?
Yeah, it's tough because when you bring all these top teams in here, if you don't come to play, then you're going to get beaten, right? So we lost to a tough Arkansas State team, a tough Mississippi State team, and then we had to be tough today. That's what we've been doing in all our wins, being the tougher team, and today we were the tougher team. So definitely didn't want to lose 3 in a row at home because that just doesn't send a good message to our fans and to the rest of the league from us, because anybody would feel like they could come in here and win.
Did you see, you got 37 points from Danger, from Jourdain, and from Cisse. So a big production offensively from your bigs. Did you see something on tape that you felt you can exploit the Ole Miss front line, which is not really big?
Yeah, well, they're a team that switches usually 1 through 5, and we had so much time to prepare and we had so much rest that we could actually put together a really nice game plan to kind of every time they switched to take advantage of it. And even when they went with the bigs, it was timely post-ups because we had other actions going on the weak side to try to, get the ball inside to Dane or to Musa. And then lastly, we baited the double teams. We knew where the double teams were going to come from because they did the same thing that Mississippi State did last week. Mississippi State was very successful with it. We were ready for it again this week.
Penny, you've often talked about just this being a different era of college athlete and you not being able to go maybe as hard as you want to on guys like Larry Finch and other coaches were on you. Between last year and this year, what have you learned about the balance between, laying that hammer down like you did this week and also massaging egos and building guys up?
Yeah, you'll lose guys in today's time if you're just always putting the hammer down and, using these choice words and making them feel like they're not doing anything correctly. In our day, that was normal. But in today's time, you got to pick your moment. And because we didn't fight last week, I had every right to come in pissed off and doing what I did. So that's the message from this point on. We have to understand, do we understand yet? Because we can't fall back now because we're done with the non-conference, because it's going to get even tougher because everybody's expecting for us to win every game. So every game now is a big game. So we can't lose our fight ever again. If the ball's not falling, who cares? We still have to fight.
What's the
They were looking like I was crazy because they don't really see that. So I try to treat them like pros. I was like, I'm going to treat you like young men, trying to make, be men, and that like a pro. And then when you cross that line and don't do what you're supposed to do, then I'm definitely going to put the hammer down. And they were definitely shocked, but they understood why. They knew I was on edge. If you ask either one of those guys, they'll say, oh, he was different this week.
Hey, Penny, just off the back of that, from what you've seen from this team in non-conference play, just how confident are you that they're going to be able to go through this conference play and go in and play in March?
Well, every game is going to be tough because, again, we're going to be the hunted, right? And we've shown when we're the hunted that we'll not play as hard as we need to because we think we're just going to win the game. Well, that mindset has to change. They're not going to give us anything. We have to take everything, every game, one by one in conference. We're picked number 2. UAB is the favorite. So, we just have to continue to have that same edge that we had today and never lose it.
When you made the midseason edition, how much did you weigh needing the backcourt depth versus knowing what you have with the 3-man rotation up front, but then also maybe come tournament time or whatever, if there's foul trouble or something happens with one or two of those 3, how much did you weigh that? And are you done, or is the door still open for anything?
I'm never going to say never. But, yeah, I had when Dante came available because he was graduating at Virginia and we knew that he was in the portal, it was definitely a mutual thing because he had been watching us, and you can always use an extra ball handler and an extra defender. And I did say last year, not knocking Jalen Young or anybody else, that we needed one more point guard that could just kind of get the thing done this year. Barack Okogie, I'm not worried about him. I know he's going to play hard. He's going to play. Same thing with P.J. Carter at the guard spot. But I felt like we needed one more. We were supposed to get Daniel Tuck earlier in the year, and that fell through. And then we were supposed to get another guard. That fell through. And then I was always looking for another guard because that 3-man rotation can't play 37, 38 minutes per night, and then be fresh for the conference tournament and then the NCAA tournament.